Hello, fellow kids. Welcome to another Deep in the Shallow podcast here with me. If you like this podcast, please subscribe at YouTube channel. Follow the Instagram page of d.i.t.s and follow d.i.t.s on Spotify. Share with your friends if you want to see more d.i.t.s. Okay, this is a complete independent project that we just want to get better. I say me, myself. I'm the only asshole working on this. So if you want to see more, comment, please share with your friends and will make me very happy. I'm recording this, at least the introduction. I think I will record the whole episode today at June 7th. It's a wonderful. It's not cold over here, because Brazil, there is no cold in Brazil. There 3 days in cold, at least where I live. And today is a sunny day. We have a lot of sound cards. That sound cars. That's a Latino stuff, That it's the sound car. It's a car. Imagine you are in the jungle. Imagine you are in Brazil. You, my fellow foreigner listener, if you are a Brazilian listener, you will see this description as much as you see in your town. You are a person. You are rational. You are a human being, but you can't live. You can drive, you can take just your car and you want to go to the ice cream store. And you take your car, your pretty car, your, Fiat, and getting there. But you need to go to the ice cream store. But you can't go without some noise. There is the white noise concept. You're probably listen to this podcast as a white noise. I won't complain about that. But you take the sound. Okay, so you turn the sound on your car, not a radio, the song that you want to listen. And your car is in full sound. But that's not enough. You can't just live with the sound in your car, feeling your car. No, you need more. Because, I don't know, you don't have the synapses enough to understand the music as the maximum sound on your car, the natural sound of your car. So instead you go to the ice cream store, you go to a sound store, okay? And then you order a sound wall. Listen to this. A sound wall. A wall made of speakers. And you get the speakers and put in your car. Okay? You grab those speakers and you put in the back of your car. Then, now, you can go to your ice cream store, but you won't go to your ice cream store without listening to music. You will turn the music on. Now, the neighborhood listen to your music. The neighborhood listen to your Brazilian country. The neighborhood listen to your Brazilian funk. This is wonderful. This is a masterpiece from third world, countries. And that's it. That's the beginning of the d.i.t.s. Let's go to the first block. Thank you for listening. Well, if you don't know how I get the schedule for every show, the script or every show, I don't have it. I play some topics that happen with me in the week, and I try to talk about them. And There is some over here, but one of these is something I'm thinking at least half a year, you know, because I need to. I will speak now about something that can be some controversy and can be some offensive for someone, but I will. But you are in the d.i.t.s, so please forgive your host stupidness. So I will, say it out loud because I'm thinking it about a very long time ago, but I want to be a Catholic. Yeah, I don't know if it's good to speak about religion, but I want to speak about anything. I want to talk about anything I want, and that's a thing that is in my heart. In for a long time. Cause let's take our time. I born in a Protestant family. Okay, that was a Catholic family some time ago, but when my mom take my birth, I she was already a Protestant. She was not a Lutheran, cousin. Oh, I will now do something very brave. I will try to explain how religion and churches work in Brazil. You know, we're talking about, yeah, the Protestant reform, okay, the that happened in the church 500 years ago, but it's not about that. When it came to Brazil, some things occurred. Of course, we have the Catholic Church, okay, over here. It was the Catholic Church and the Christianity that colonized Brazil. So in every corner of every little town in Brazil, you have a church that have your own priest that is recognized as the Catholic Church. Some of them are just fake, okay, but the most of it's real. Of course, you have the Catholic Church in Brazil with the Jesuitas. There, that was when the when the Portugal's colonization in Brazil. You have these guys who want to now this word I don't know. Redeem is a way better word. Okay, so there is these Jesuitas guys. There is with the Catholic Church, and want to redeem the natives and make the church's work, the Catholic Church's work. So Brazil has a deep Catholic culture. You know, of course, Brazil. There is this data that Brazil is the country that most believe in God. That is Christian, but it's kind of more complicated than that. Our culture, everyone's culture in Brazil. Every family has deep Catholic, thoughts, methods, but the Protestantism, I don't know if there's right, Lutheranism, because the Lutheran Church has his own tradition, its own tradition. So if you are Lutheran, okay, you are not Catholic, you want to be a Protestant, okay, so you are a Lutheran. Okay, if you are Lutheran, you are in a deep, you are in a deep church, you are in a church that is that have tradition, that have your own dogmas, and that's okay, your choice, okay. But in Brazil there is something that is mixed, the Protestantism with some other stuff that is kind of unreal. The Brazilian Protestantism without the Lutheran Church and the Catholic Church is a fucking mess. there is every one of these churches that say to be Protestant, each one with their own denominations and names. We have the now I will do this job of translation for the English. We have the Assembly of God. You have the Universal Church. I hope that the Universal Church don't listen to this podcast because I don't want to die. Okay, I'm saying this because Brazil's Protestant scene, Protestant sphere, it's a fucking mess, and that with this you mixture with some. It's the prosper theology. There is this prosperity theology, the wealth theology, that every fucking church needs to get your money with the excuse that God will give it back in double. I'm not questioning anyone's faith on God and Christ and these preachers, these pastores, these preachers' faith. It's not my. I'm not a. I'm not a father. A Catholic father. I'm just a normal dude. So who am I? I don't have answers. For my back aches. So why do I will have the answers for your faith? Okay, that's a great slogan for the podcast. I will write this. But I've been thinking of it for a long that I want to be a Catholic because I'm looking for something that I don't achieve in the Protestant church, the Protestantism. I see that if this podcast come to an American audience, these guys probably will just mock me up and say, "Look at this Latino asshole that loves Maria and this stuff." Because uh, English speakers are all about Protestantism. If someone of UK is listening to this, probably there will be another conception of this, but it's my conception. I'm looking something that the Protestantism isn't giving me. That is tradition, tradition. I don't know how to. That is something bigger than myself, something bigger than my own thoughts. Maybe, maybe I'm not smart enough to understand the Bible myself. I think that some protest, not all. I understand the devotionism in Protestantism is different, but I see in some preachers, I see in some Protestants this preborn idea that I can, if I read the Bible, I will understand it right. It's my understanding. You know, this is a conception, you can make it, but damn, son, there is, 1,500 years of tradition and Catholic Church, theology and knowledge making about every question that we had in your lives. If you open a Saint, I don't know how Santo Agostinho is in English. I will search it. San Agostinho. It's Sant Agostinho. If you just open a San Agostinho book, you'll have a lot of answers that the the Lutheran church, the Lutheran, no, I'm sorry, the Protestant church cannot achieve. That's a fucking mess. I see that. I understand. the Catholic Church has its own flaws among the fucking decades. People who died, not witches in the fire. I am not a history teacher, but I understand that that's bullshit. The Crusades. There's a lot of mis historical features and some narrative about it. I don't want to talk about it right now. Mainly in Brazil. The education system in Brazil, it's quite corrupted by these ideas. But I don't want to get into this right now. But I understand what the Catholic Church messes. But anyway, fuck it. I need some faith that have deep, that have deafness, that is not about some old ladies spinning around fucking in a fucking garage in the back of some preacher's house and screaming and the fucking music fucking loud. There is nothing that I can think about it. There is no Bible study. That's just, you will be rich and you will be, and that's a fucking, there is that thing about self punishment and that concept of love of Jesus. That's crazy. The Protestant church in Brazil, it's making more atheists than atheism itself. I, I'm sorry if you are a non-believer and you're listening to this podcast, but that's who I am, bro. I hope that at least I am capable of making you understand in this idea, okay? Because I'm not speaking about the existence of God, the existence of Jesus' power. I'm talking about theology and faith, and I am a fucking an alphabet on theology and faith. I never read anything like this. I'm just, the YouTube video speaking. I'm more into. I want to get into this literature, but I'm more into philosophy these days. It includes, I bought The Republic of Plato, probably in the next episode, as you guys will listen to me speak about the Republic, and that is, I will speak about something I'm reading in these days, and that's life, you know. But that's my quote of the block. I want to be a Catholic because I want to get in the church and listen to the Father and the Mother and the Holy Spirit. Amen. That's it. I want to hear some quorum of virgin ladies singing like in a beautiful way. I want to get in a church and it's not a fucking a black house and black walls and someone screaming out. I know I want peace, quiet. I want to understand Jesus. I want to understand the faith. If I don't understand it, I killed myself and became an atheist, and that's it.
Troll sat alone on a seat of stone and munched and mumbled a barreled bone. For many a year he'd gnawed it near, for meat was hard to come by. Done by, gum by, in a cave in the hills he dwelt alone, and meat was hard to come by. Up came Tom with his big boots on, said he to Troll, pray what is yon? For it looks like the shin of mine Uncle Tim, as should be a lion in graveyard, caveyard, paveyard. This many a year has Tim been gone, and I thought he were lying in graveyard.
My lad said, Troll, this bone I stole, but what be bones that lie in a hole? Thine uncle was dead as a lump o' lead, afore I found his shin bone. Tin bone, thin bone, he can spare a share for a poor old troll, for he don't need his shin bone.
Said Tom, I don't see why the likes of thee without axe and leave should go making free with the shank or the shin of my father's kin. So hand the old bone over, rover, trover, though dead he be, it belongs to he. So hand the old bone over.
For a couple of pins, says Troll and grins, I'll eat thee too and gnaw thy shins. A bit of fresh meat will go down sweet. I'll try my teeth on thee now. He now, see now, I'm tired of gnawing old bones and skins. I've a mind to dine on thee now.
Just as he thought his dinner was caught, he found his hands had hold of naught. Before he could mind, Tom slipped behind and gave him the boots to larn him, warn him, darn him. A bump of the boot on the seat Tom thought would be the way to larn him.
But harder than stone is the flesh and bone of a troll that sits in the hills alone. As well set your boot to the mountain's root, for the seat of a troll don't feel it, peel it, heal it. Old Troll laughed when he heard Tom groan, and he knew his toes could feel it.
Tom's leg is game since home he came, and his bootless foot is lasting lame. But Troll don't care, and he's still there with the bone he boned from its owner. Donor, boner. Troll's old seat is still the same, and the bone he boned from it.
You know, I hope that is something chronicle of this show. That in the first block I speak about myself and something unusual in my day or in my life, and in the second block I just speak about storytell. I hope that is don't happen, but today it will repeat, okay? Cause I want to talk about a book that I finished this week also, and of course in the the latest block, you guys heard me talking about the Republic of Plato, and now you will listen to me to speak about one of the greatest book reading of all time that I had. You know, that was The Lord of the Rings. You guys heard me speak about it on the Walking Dead block on the last show, but this one is way different because I feel that I've read one of the greatest stories, one of the greatest narratives of all time, or maybe in my life. I don't know if time will make Lord of the Rings be my favorite media pick of all time. I don't think so. I have some bastions in my mind of narrative and movies and books. I don't think The Lord of the Rings will be in the front of all of them, but in some of them, of course, it will. If you're in the 21st century, you're in 2025. I don't think that anyone who will enjoy Lord of the Rings already already don't enjoy Lord of the Rings, don't understand Lord of the Rings, because I see as Lord of the Rings being one of the most important stories, narratives of, I think, the modern age, the contemporary age. It's too soon to speak because Shakespeare was kind of 5,000, I'm sorry, 500 years ago. Uh, you have the Odyssey and the Iliad, more than 2,000 years, ago. And then the Greek time. But if mankind keep evolving and keep Lord of the Rings in the library, in the library, I think that could be one of those generational classics, and in the future, with 200 years in the front, some kids, it will be learned in the school about Lord of the Rings, just like we learn about Shakespeare and Don Quixote de la Mancha and those stuff. Well, why Lord of the Rings is that great? If you want to understand why Lord of the Rings is great, you skip this podcast and go see uh, the movies or read the books. But you know, I am still shocked how good it is. If you never experience anything of Lord of the Rings, anyone, Hobbit, the books, Lord of the Rings, the shitty Rings of Power series, TV series, if you never heard of this or experienced this, just pause the podcast and go. I see you in a couple of weeks, and I hope that you enjoy. And if you already read or watched, there is anything new that I can provide to you. It's just my vision of a fucking masterpiece. A vision of someone that don't grown up with this. I am full. I am not 100% Z generation, you know. So I'm 100% Gen Z. So I don't grew up with Lord of the Rings, which is funny because Star Wars is part of my life, and some other movies. Of course, the my Lord of the Rings of my generation is MCU. It's Marvel Cinematic Universe. which it's great. Is one of the greatest. Isn't a isn't a masterpiece. Isn't something that you can compare. Even the original comics with the original Lord of the Rings book. But it's what my generation had, and I don't grew up with Lord of the Rings, which is funny because I understood a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff, and I know that is something of pop culture. Lord of the Rings is very pop culture, so there is some jokes, just like Darth Vader. I am your father. That probably most of my generation or my normal dudes in most of my generation, Brazil or outside, don't even watch the mainly Star Wars movie that is 1977, and of course a youngling, a 15 years old boy will watch Star Wars. That's fucking nonsense. But Lord of the Rings, it's one of these stuff that I never experienced. For I watched the first Hobbit, The Hobbit. I watched the first Lord of the Rings, but I never understood why that shit was good. Why that shit was so fucking lovely, was so great. Why everyone get that fucking Return of the King movie and put in that altar and adore the Return of the King, one of the greatest movies of all time. Is the movie that received more Oscars. Not that the Oscars is a great stuff these days, but received 12 or 13 Oscars. So that's a stuff. That's a big stuff. So why this is so good? Then I take the book. I took my sweaty money and read it. I think I began to read the Lord of the Ring, the Fellowship of the Ring, the first one in December of the last year, December, November, and I switched books every time. So I learned. I'm sorry. I read the Fellowship of the Ring. That I read anything else. So I go back and read the Two Towers. Then I read anything else 1, 2 times. Then this month I bought The Return of the King. I fell in love in the first book. I loved the first book in the month that I bought it. When I understood what the fuck I was reading, I understood that would be something amazing. And of course, the Two Towers and Return of the King being this orgasmic ending. And it's very unique, because if you don't understand what Lord of the Rings is about, I can't explain to you without spend a lot of time speaking. So I will presume that you at least know something about medieval fantasy. You see, you watched Stranger Things and saw something about RPG and those stuff. So I think that you understand what a dwarf is, or what a elf is, or a dragon is. I don't think my program is listening by 7 months 7 months old babies. So I will presume that. And I see the Fellowship of the Ring first, the first book, as that walk. But imagine that you're a child, you never go into the a fun park. What is called, what you guys have that at Disney, roller coaster stuff, that kind of park. You never went on one of these, and then your father, your mother stop fighting and having sex. And take you to that diversion park, the fun park, and then you see a fucking new world of adventures, of something that isn't what you see on TV, what you see in comic books is real. And I see Lord of the Rings as something fucking real. At the same time, that is Middle Earth, there's dragons and elves and forest and a dark, deep dark, the west, the east, I'm sorry, the east, and it's amazing. I don't want to be repetitive and saying good stuff about the Lord of the Rings, but it's something incredible. How a guy now speaking on Tolkien, the one who writes, it's incredible how that old man in the fucking war could think about that world, think about the hobbits. The hobbits, for me, it's a step ahead of any writer, any fantasy writer, any literature writer of all time. Because I see, in my opinion, I know you have the mankind united for a greater evil. You have the elves, the whole elf stuff that are pretty. They are the perfect. You have all the dwarf mythology about caves and those stuff. But for me, the thing that makes Lord of the Rings almost perfect is the Hobbit's existence. You know, it's fun how in the end of the book you you are you're witnessing a fucking war, a massive war battle, the battle of the Pelennor, the fields of Pelennor. You're seeing a king leading the mankind. You've seen a lot of stuff, but in the beginning of the first book, your only concern is what the hell Beeble is saying to the crowd of hobbits, and there's a lot of pages just about names that won't repeat in the Lord of the Rings. In the Lord of the Rings story of hobbits, of the Hobbitville. That's amazing. It's incredible how Hobbits is built, how Hobbits is made. It's constructed for being that. And these little fuckers, these little assholes that just like to jerk off, drink beer, and tell bullshit to another every day. These guys saved the fucking Middle Earth, saved mankind. These guys are the most good heart in the fucking world. That's amazing, because even Aragorn, even Boromir, even Gandalf can't understand the ring's power, the evil power, but a little fucker over there who was, saying bullshit about his neighbors and smoking hobbit weed every day. This guy saved the realm, and this guy passed through a lot of shit. This guy was stabbed, speaking of Frodo. This guy was stabbed more than one time. This guy crossed the fucking world and get back in this village, and it's amazing how Frodo is this character. That is a little fucker. That's how I will call hobbits until the end of every podcast. The little fuckers. This little fucker became, literally Jesus Christ with mercy, or a fucking demon that is Gollum. In the end, Gollum was seeing himself useful, not purposely, okay? But this little fucker was the savior of Middle Earth, was the savior of fucking kingdom. And that is one of the little details that Tolkien builds. We have a lot of stuff to say, but I think I will get some repetitive as speaking about the Lord of the Rings. So if you never read Lord of the Rings, if you are one of these Gen Z as little fuckers that never read or watched Lord of the Rings, watch it because it's a masterpiece. And with this, this rising of the Christianism in the world, I think Lord of the Rings will be a lot more valuable in the people's mind. But that's it. That's the second block. I will sleep, man. This week in my work, I served someone different, someone really different, not that different, but I want an excuse for speaking about my job and some stuff. I work with public, so every day I speak with a lot of dudes, and I have to serve them as a kind of public system, but not that public. I want not to get in detail. And there is a new customer today, not a new customer, but a customer today who was very polite, and I start to talk there. I am the only one in my sector in the work that can speak English, so you can see that everyone who don't speak Portuguese, they just send to me, and I have to do whatever these nigga want to do, okay? But this customer was lady, very polite, very beautiful, was in their 40s, 40 and a half, 45, and she needs to do the normal job, so I took her ID and start to the serving. And one thing was very interesting. She was, 3 countries at the same fucking time. This lady had Brazilian fathers, so she was Brazilian, born Brazilian, In Brazil you have this law that if your parents is Brazilian, you are Brazilian, you're born Brazilian. And she actually born in Trinidad and Tobago. Her passport was Canadian, and she lived in Boston. It was a really good chat. When I was not working, I chat a little with her. She corrects my English. She corrects me. I needed her phone for finishing the job, the work. So she said, no, it's not borrowing. Borrow is when you receive it. I am lending you. In this moment, I said, hey, lady, I'm a fucking Brazilian, poor, stupid guy. I'm sorry for that lady was really. That lady was really, really awesome. And on this, this life of serving foreigners in my job, this week it came a really nice guy, a Brazilian this time, not born in Brazil, he born in Switzerland, and he speaks Portuguese. Okay, I also serve monkeys who speak Portuguese. But I almost had a heart attack when I see this gentleman, because he was the exact same appearance as Paul McCartney. And I know that's fucking ridiculous. I don't live in a great big country in Brazil. It's a big country. It's a big city, not a city. I'm sorry, not a country. I'm sorry. I don't live in a giant city in Brazil, but it's still a big city, an important one. But it kind of stupid that I will assume that Paul McCartney was in that place, but for a few seconds, you know, for a few seconds, my Beatle fan heart. So, oh my fucking god, I will serve Sir Paul McCartney. And for just a few seconds, I soon saw that he was not Paul McCartney and get sad. But I talked to him about this, and he said I ever some guys, you know, miss mistake me as Paul McCartney, and he was a lovely guy. We talked a lot, and it's funny how my colleagues in work always get the shitty job. Always get. I don't know if I am too, polite, too good-hearted. Of course I'm not. But I don't know if it's that or they are just suck. Cause every shitty client that came in my job, my clients take them, and it's a headache every single fucking time. A headache with a fucking customer, and I don't get that. I don't get shitty customers, and when they're shitty, I just leave. I don't know if I am. I understood how to avoid them or just how to treat them to they not get shitty with me. But that's it. That's it. I think in the show I will get this little radio for speak about my friends servings. I am a little close to one client in the specific that is a teacher on the American school, one of the American school, one of the American schools about around the globe, and he is a drama. He's a drama teacher, and every time that he needs to solve something about Brazilian stuff, and he goes there, and I am able to help him. It's always a great guy, Mister Schulz. I can talk to him because it's just the story name, Mister Schulz. If you're listening to this, I'm doubt, but if you're listening to this, you're a great guy. Every time you go to that place and you are served by a white Brazilian tall man, every time I get happy. So thank you. Thank you. So that it, lads. I think is the time has come. That's number two. It's coming to an end. Thank you who listened this far. I know that I say a lot of times. I will try to make it stop. Okay, please don't complain about this in comments, and if this become a thing, don't mock me that much. It will get better. I will get better English. So thank you guys one more time. If you are into this project, are into this proposal, please share this with your friends. Share it with your girlfriend, with your boys, follow in the YouTube. Okay, that's very important. If you are a new listener, please get a comment. Even if you think this, this shithole sucks. If you think this show sucks, please tell me. Comment, even if you're mad. Okay. I think this is a great program that I did today. And I really expect that you, the one who is listening on the other side, get entertained. You know, thank you a lot and have a great week. See you next week.